one of the responses I wanted to look at to the mugshot of Donald Trump is a rather dishonest and also in this situation very creepy Fox News host, Jesse Waters, who thinks Trump looks just incredible in his mugshot and describes how he feels about it in, again, a creepy and bizarre way.
Why do they need a mugshot in Georgia and not everywhere else?
The sheriff said that's protocol, and they weren't going to make an exception. And I am now going to book the Fulton County photographer for my Christmas card. Because, Judge, and I say this with a unblemished record of heterosexuality, he looks good. And he looks hard. And why would you think that you wouldn't practice the shot? Is that a surprise? Of course you practice the mug shot. You only don't practice if you're drunk. That's the first time Biden's told the truth. It's a handsome mugshot. My wife says he looks fierce. He looks hard. But he doesn't look scared, does he? Doesn't look humiliated. He looks exactly the opposite of how the left thought he'd look. So the media, once they...
And he goes on and on and on. We'll look at more of his coverage, but he's very into the mugshot and has to note that he's heterosexual before saying that Trump looks good. You can believe he looks handsome without having to make that clarification, even though I don't know why you would think he looks handsome or, quote, hard or fierce in that mugshot. I do understand that he did kind of nail the scowl and doesn't look necessarily defeated as some of the other mugshots look. But regardless of the face that he's making, it's a mugshot for actions he took that horrified and humiliated our country. So all you should see there is the story of Trump, as I said in the last few segments, yes, a little bit of a light in the darkness that he's being held accountable, but it is a reminder of the fact that he did the things he did. And so, yes, celebrate the accountability, but for people obsessing over how handsome he looks, regardless of how he looks, and I don't think he looks handsome, he looks a little strange to me, but even if you are heterosexually very into his mugshot or whatever that means, that is not important compared to what he's now experiencing legal troubles because of, which was attempting to overthrow democracy. And I have to keep repeating because people will try to downplay and, oh, he's being indicted for saying some stuff. And if it had worked, what you're saying by advocating that Trump shouldn't be held legally accountable is it should be acceptable in this upcoming election for Biden to put together an alternate slate of electors. And then I won't even get into also calling state officials and trying to get them to do all sorts of wacky stuff to be a part of this fraudulent attempt, but just to focus in on one element of it. And then pretend, let's say Trump beats Biden, and then use electors that aren't the lawful ones sent by the states, but are just random people who agree to be pro-Biden electors, and then get Kamala Harris to recognize those as the real ones somehow, and then Biden used that to justify staying in power. What would happen after that? We don't know because it didn't work with Trump and Mike Pence didn't go along with it and a lot of things didn't work out for them. But let's say it did, and then Biden just stayed president even if Trump won. How would you feel about that? Would that be the rule of law upheld? Would that be democracy working? Of course not. But you're blinded by your partisanship and dishonesty in the case of Jesse Waters and all these different people we cover. And so it's a downplaying of what was being attempted there to justify advocating against accountability here. But without accountability, you're encouraging future behavior like this. There are lots of potential presidents we could have. Biden would never do this, but there are hypothetical candidates we could have who, for example, if they were the sitting president and ran for re-election and lost, would really want to stay in power and might look to the lack of accountability of Trump as a justification for them trying a similar thing, trying to stay in power even if they lose. And that would be disastrous. And it's really disturbing to see how many people are willing to run interference for the dishonesty here. Here's more of his recent love affair.
The Trump mugshot's like the new Che Guevara t-shirt. The image represents something. You feel something when you see it. It's iconic, it's infamous, and the media feels it too.
So, just every once in a while when we talk about Jesse Waters, I do want to remind you that he indeed is the Fox News host who bragged on air about, in an effort to pursue a woman he worked with, let the air out of her tires in the parking lot and then use that as justification to take her home. Now, he says it worked out because they got married, but the beginning of that story ends very differently 9 out of 10 times, namely in true crime stories I hear about. So very interesting, creepy, and bizarre. Not to mention dangerously dishonest with his rhetoric that he spews individual. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of what makes this show possible, plus get access to the full video version of the show hours before all the clips are able to be uploaded to the YouTube channel, plus get the bonus show on the weekends, you can do so by going to lukebeasleyshow.com/membership. That's lukebeasleyshow.com/membership, and there's a link in the description.